bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT NoGov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.fm. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.fm.
And it makes a fiery ring, bound by wild desire. I fell into a ring of fire, 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 fire,
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. broadcasting live from the Horizon.Global studio here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And, well, we are talking about the lack of just creativity in general, the lack of academics in general. Like, like the Imam said, we got religious folks. You got Ray Comfort, who's probably never cracked a book on biology, and he is making movies about evolution.
Essentially.
You got imams who have never read a book about biology, don't understand the first thing about biology, and they're writing books about evolution. Why do we have this?
And in many cases, at least in Christianity, you've got people taking scripture too far to try to justify their quote-unquote scientific beliefs, because there are a lot of things that folks like Ray Comfort and other professional arguers, I would call them. I'm a creationist, but they're more than just creationists. There are things that they take from the Bible that they stretch really, really far to try to fit their reading of the science, when they are stretching both the science and the Bible. The age of the earth is a good example. The Bible doesn't tell us anything about the age of the earth. We've got, they extrapolate things from the genealogy of Adam, but we don't know if it's a complete genealogy, and in some places we don't know if we're talking about parents or grandparents. They talk about the 7 literal days, but if you look at the actual Hebrew text, the term for days is used elsewhere to mean all sorts of different periods of time. We know there were 7 different periods in which God acted, but if you don't read those as literal days, they match up roughly with what the scientists tell us, or what the scientists believe. So you make an unnecessarily contentious situation.
There's nothing funnier than watching I just lost my train of thought. I hate that. I totally got 2 words of it out and was like, oh, never mind. I shouldn't have interrupted Tom. It's my brain just shut off.
I was just about done.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And of course, the other aspect of it, and I asked Ray this straight up, and I wasn't overly satisfied with his answer, is what is the point of arguing with people about these beliefs, A, which you're not an expert on, and B, which aren't necessarily relevant to their salvation. And the primary point that I come away with when I listen to certain people, and I honestly believe Ray Comfort to be more genuine than most of the others, but for the most part I believe it's ego. It's not a desire to spread any truth, it's a desire to sound smart. And it's not working because you're not. You're just not. It's okay not to be smart in that particular area. It's okay to be smart as a theologian. But you got to be willing to admit you're not smart in the area of science.
Well, the question is he even smart as a theologian? Or is
we didn't talk. And they never talk about.
Or is he a polemic in a specific area of discussion?
Right, and when they never talk about theology enough for you to tell, what are you going to conclude? You know.
Well, I try to have that whole think better of folks, but some people.
Some people.
Speaking of Ray Comfort, we got a gift today, didn't we, Arya?
We did.
Tell us about the little gift we got.
I couldn't. I don't know what that stuff is called.
Okay, so some company in Oregon, there was a basket sent to our front door this morning. It contained a block of white cheddar cheese. It had 6 chocolates, a bag of popcorn, like Fiddle Faddle or caramel covered popcorn. Some of it covered with chocolate. My kids saw it, stole it, and ate all of it.
It's fine with me.
This morning. It had 3 or 4 different kinds of pears in it. It had some cheese, the crackers that are meant for eating with cheese. It had quite a few little things. Some Asian pears. It had quite a few little things. The only thing it didn't have was a banana.
Yeah.
Which we mused that would have been the funniest thing he could have asked to include in the package.
Oh, for sure.
Considering his sense of humor about it, I'm all but shocked that
it wasn't one. Yeah, I'm really surprised there wasn't like a red banana. You know, like not just a banana, but like a designer or ladyfinger banana or something in there. Banana flavored ice, something. Because I mean, there was stuff that was refrigerated. It came packed in cold packs. So I mean, it definitely wasn't cheap to send cold food. So, but yeah, we got that this morning. So that was very much appreciated. Thank you, Ray, for the basket. If you happen to be listening.
Well, on the subject of hand, you know, he makes the point about people having essentially multiple specialties when it comes to knowledge, and that's no longer possible. It simply isn't. The last person who knew everything there was to know in the world existed in like 300 BCE.
Well, no, he's not talking about knowing everything.
I know that.
Okay.
But the amount of knowledge that is out there now is so extensive that even a biologist isn't just a biologist. They have to specialize in one specific field of biology. And a mathematician isn't just a mathematician any longer. They have to specialize in one specific branch of mathematics because it's so complex now.
Ibn Khaldun was an economist who had massive influences on people like Adam Smith, and he was a historian. He was the first historian to do what they call scientific history, rather than just writing down all the stories that people say about what happened. He cared about which stories were actually true. You know, so it wasn't just writing down all the stories. It was trying to create a narrative based on true events. And that was the first time that what we call a Sunan-based history was written. Scientific-based history is what the West calls it. And it was the first time that a historic narrative was written like that. So like if you read Tabari, he has a disclaimer on the very first page that says basically like, I just wrote down all the stories everyone was saying. Whether they're true or not, I don't know. You have to verify the contents yourself. Because there were stories in Tabari that angered certain students of Abu Hanifa so greatly that they tried to burn down his house. So he had to go put that disclaimer.
There are way worse stories than that about knowledge making people angry.
Right. Well, yeah, the funny thing is
at least they didn't try to burn him down.
When the anti-Muslim types, when they start talking and sourcing historic documents in Islam, guess who they choose? Tabari, not Ibn Khaldun. Big surprise there, huh?
Yeah.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
I was doing my regular 11 o'clock security sweep around the perimeter of my house when I noticed a couple of young people having intercourse in the front seat of a car out in the street. So I ran inside and I grabbed my video camera. As you can imagine, I stood in those bushes for over 20 minutes watching these two degenerates grind against each other, and I'm thinking, this behavior is simply unacceptable. Now, if you think this is an isolated incident, you are dead to rights wrong. I have 36 hours of footage to prove it that I have personally collected from sickos just around my own town. For example, I saw perverts having sex in swimming pools clearly visible from the roofs of adjacent buildings, on boats that anybody could see with a telescope, at night on the beaches where they can easily be watched by anyone hiding behind a fence wearing their night vision goggles. It's simply disgusting.
This is the Onion News Network.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
You are listening to The Call to Freedom. Live on LRN.fm. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.fm.
If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studio here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And we are discussing, well, a couple of different things. First of all, this idea that creativity is just no longer necessary. Basically, that man has finally,
it's especially true in art,
surpassed its own intellect, its own creative and imaginative ability, which I find to be utterly
ridiculous.
Yeah, BS. Yeah. But also this idea that, you know, we've got all these people out there that are talking about things that they don't know about. You know, like Bill Warner, you know, who we discussed from the Center for the Study of Political Islam, who has a degree in physics, and that's his qualification to extol his expertise on a religion that even the scholars of the religion don't call themselves as informed as he does, and are able to speak fluently, read fluently, and understand the language that the book is written in, and even themselves don't, and they themselves don't find themselves as quote-unquote qualified as he does.
Well, I mean, that's exactly it, though. People who are knowledgeable about a subject are typically not arrogant about it. They're usually pretty humble because they know what their limits are.
Yeah.
They know how deep the subject goes, and they know that they don't know 100% of it.
Yeah.
But then you have idiots who don't. I mean, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect again.
Hamza Yusuf will tell you he knows maybe 10%. And I know maybe 1% of what he knows.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try to quantify it. You know?
Yeah, like maybe 1% of 1%. But then you have, you've got the Robert Spencers, the Pam Gellers, the Brigitte Gabriels, who are like,
we have them in atheism as well.
You have the Sam Harrises that are like, I am an absolute expert on this religion that I've only read. If you took all that I've read from
I was
that
thinking
holy
of
text,
more
and
like
added
Stephen
it
Fry
together.
answering that question about standing in front of God. I mean, clearly he doesn't know anything about the religion he's talking about. If he thinks that the question of if this religion was true and you were faced with this scenario, how would you react? And he gives that scenario as though that religion isn't true.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
were you here for that?
Did you not hear the question that was asked of you?
Were you here for that, Tom?
Yeah.
The Stephen Fry quote?
Yeah, he was here for
Okay. Yeah, that was great. That was so awesome.
And I'm asked it a lot. That was the number one response that I got when I asked, Christians, if you were standing in front of Jesus, what would you have to say to him? Almost everybody said, why do you let children get sick? Like, dude, you're going to question the creator of the universe.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get that question finished.
No.
And the sad thing is, in the context of Christianity, that answer is already in the Bible. If they were actually curious why the Christian God allowed children to get sick and bad things to happen to good people, the answer is right there in Isaiah. It's right there in Job. All they have to do is read it, but they don't want to know. What they want to do is make God prostrate himself before them. And that's why their egos are out of control and they can't admit that, what I just said was totally stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, no. Of course not. You don't know nothing.
As we were talking about before the show, it exists very much in art. You have something that I've heard as a writer and a musician and a game designer and all of this other crap that I do. I've heard it so many times. People who refuse to even look at my work because, it can't contain anything new. Everything's already been done. Like, we've been writing for about 5,000 years. You mean to tell me that every creative idea we've ever had has already been used and that we have to exist for the next 1.5 billion years without any new literature, without any new music, without any new games, without any new anything? Just rehashes upon rehashes for the next 1.5 billion years. Are you insane? How badly can you underestimate human creativity? And I understand, we can't have a society full of Shakespeares. We just can't. That's why the Shakespeares stand out. And we do have this crap like the new Avengers movie, the new Spider-Man game, and this kind of filler to hold us over until the true artists come along. But to pretend like there can be no more true artists, no more truly creative people in a world that just saw the release of the Harry Potter books and the 20th century of entirely new music genres and entirely new ways to make art. Oh my God. No, we're suddenly out of ideas.
The 20th century was one gigantic nonstop evolution in art.
Yeah. And they're like, that's it. We've done it. We've peaked. I'm like, Minecraft came out like 5 years ago, man.
Right.
And video games were totally revolutionized. Rock music is like 50 years old at this point, maybe 60 years old.
More. Yeah. Rock music started in the 50s. It's
so it's about 60 years old.
Almost 70 years old now. Yeah.
But still, that's
rhythm and blues. it went.
How old is the freaking piano though?
Exactly.
Or the harpsichord.
Here you had
in the stretches of human history, these things are barely even started.
You had march music, like that kind of stuff. Then you had classical, and then you had gospel, like religious music. And then those different types of music started to marry each other and created new folk music that got mixed in there. And those things, So now you have country music. Oh, well, you took a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you mixed it together, and now we have country. And then, well, let's take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Oh, look, that's ragtime. Okay, well, let's take
a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we have that ungodly abomination known as country rap.
Right? Let's take some ragtime, and we'll mix it with the 4/4 blues. Oh, boom, now you got jazz music. All right,
the
now
reason
let's
Pink
take
Floyd's
jazz
The Wall
music.
was so revolutionary, or Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 was so revolutionary, is because they borrowed the drum beat from disco. That steady kick drum, and nobody had done that before, and that was 30 years after
disco borrowed from big band.
Yes, it did. And then you have Nirvana, which was like totally about being
total crap.
Was totally about being minimalist.
Bad at guitar.
Hey man, 3 chords is all you need to be famous. 3 chords is all you need to be famous.
Clearly. Have you seen the Weird Al video of
look at
Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Yes, I love it. Have you? I mean, look at the 80s.
And I don't know what I'm saying.
You saw the birth and even the death of probably over a dozen different music genres just in a 10-year span.
Oh yeah, and then the 90s happened, and there was more birth, and then the 2000s happened, and even more birth.
Just Miles Davis, just him, created 5 separate music genres in his lifetime. That's insane. One man created multiple music genres in his life. He just like, I'm going to play this music for a while. Oh, you know what? I'm done with bop. I'm just going to create Blue Note jazz because I don't have anything better to do than to create.
But you know what?
Blue Note
what we're
jazz.
kind of reinforcing is their argument, and we need to actually refute it, because their argument is that all we have for art now is just mixing and matching different things that have already been done.
But that is what art is.
It's not. That's not creativity.
I think it is.
It's borrowing.
No, it's not. When you put 2 things together and you come out with a new thing.
But it's not a new thing.
It is a new thing.
It's a new combination, but the
is not
things
ragtime.
are always there.
Jazz is not ragtime.
That's because it had new elements.
Bop is not big band, and you can listen to them and you can tell they are totally different.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.fm.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studios here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And we're talking about, a couple different things, really. One, the lack of the creative minority in society. And by minority, I don't mean minority in like a political, racial sense. I mean that small group within every generation that is...
No, but you know what? You have a good point. The creative minority, they will be a minority in wider society, obviously. But I mean, that's a tautology. But it's because that same creativity will lead them to do things that just make them into minorities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we were having a discussion about borrowing. You know, how the 20th century was literally nothing but different musical genres borrowing from each other.
But each one adding something new to it.
Not really, though. Because, okay.
Not all of them, no. I mean, like you have...
jazz took...
You have new metal, which is just alternative with 3 chords. It added nothing. It just stripped it down.
But that's not the same as like the creation of jazz, where they literally just took ragtime and they added the chord progressions of blues. I mean... that's the whole thing about big band and jazz music is that it's literally built around
But jazz and blues use different chords.
They don't.
I'm a guitarist, man. They do.
Ask Wynton, really do.
Ask Wynton Marsalis. He'll tell you you're wrong, and I'm going to go with the guy who's played jazz his entire life and runs the jazz museum.
I'm not saying that there aren't fusion players out there.
The chords, the basis, the chords.
But
that
they're
are the
not.
basis
I mean, look it up. There are blues scales and there are jazz scales.
We're not talking about the scales.
That's what forms.
Off base here, Will.
That's what forms the chords that they play, though, is the scales. Like if you have a scale of a minor scale, then you play that minor chord under it. So I mean, chords and scales is kind of interchangeable, except one is multiple notes strummed together, and one is them formed individually.
Okay, awesome.
So I mean, having their own set of scales implies that they have their own set of chords. Or their own chord progressions, rather.
Well, they have multiple chord progressions, but jazz, when it was built and started, was based on the chords of the blues. That was the whole thing, was that you could get 4 guys together who didn't know each other, and because of the 4/4 blues, they could just sit down and make art on the spot. That was
for
the
sure.
whole point of it, was the fact that it was based upon the other.
Yeah, but it didn't just take the other. You know, it became its own thing. It became a new thing because it had new elements added to it. Like, the reason that jazz is able to do it is because they use pentatonic scales primarily. And and blues doesn't. They primarily focus on minor scales. But if you strip
that backwards, blues is the one that uses the pentatonic.
Okay, my bad.
Jazz uses modes that
tons of
aren't
different
really
ones
found other places.
Well, that's the evolution of that music as it went from being just plain jazz without the Z's yet, just 2 S's when it first came about, when it was basically trumpets and other wind instruments playing ragtime that was for pianos, playing ragtime music with the rhythm and harmonic structures of the blues. And being able to just sit down.
Yeah,
and
but it wasn't
have
until they progressed and it became its own thing that it became its own thing called jazz.
Well, no, it was jazz, and then jazz became jazz, and then jazz.
Well, I mean,
became
whatever we
big
want to
band.
call it, it wasn't its own thing.
And the only thing, and jazz became big band, and then big band became bop, and bop became free jazz, and West Coast jazz, and Blue Note jazz, and Sarah, what's the thing? Is like a Cuban, Afro-Cuban, Caribbean version of jazz, and all of these different things. So it's still jazz music, but they added an Afro-Caribbean rhythm, and they changed.
Well, it's rooted
the
in
name.
jazz,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, heavy metal and rock aren't the same thing either.
No, but they're also rooted in the blues and jazz as well.
They are.
You can't take them apart, and that's what I'm saying is that from the beginning of the 20th century,
But I mean,
to
saying
today,
that jazz and the blues are just combinations of, you know, these other types of music is like saying that rock is just a combination of jazz and something else, and it's not.
Music historians specifically.
See, now you're
call
making the
it-
argument though that there's nothing new out there.
I'm not saying it's not new. If you take egg and flour and water, those are 3 different things that aren't new, but you mix them together and you put it in the oven, you get bread, and that's a new thing.
But it's not. It's a combination of flour, eggs, and water.
I miss bread.
If you call, I mean, calling it a new thing doesn't make it new.
It is though, because it's no longer an egg. It's no longer water. It's no longer flour. It is a combination of those things together that has a completely different chemical structure at that point.
Well, that's literally true.
Okay.
So I can't argue with that.
Exactly. And music is the same way. You put those things together and you cook it up a little bit among people.
I
and
wholly
boom,
and completely disagree.
you know, the jazz and big band taken and mixed together with gospel, they called it R&B. And then you took you took R&B and you mixed it with something else. And
look, I know how all of these genres formed, but none of them just took 2 things and mixed them together.
But they literally did.
No, they didn't. They all added something to it, something new. No, the ones that sucked didn't. I mean, you do have things like new metal and alternative rock that didn't add anything.
Any musical historian will tell you that one guy came up with the idea.
Well, don't listen to the musician in the room.
I'm listening to the guy who's played jazz.
Either of the musicians in the room are both telling you you're kind of wrong.
Well, I mean, Wynton Marsalis only played since the 1960s, so I kind of, he teaches music history at the Smithsonian, so I kind of.
Well, then that's where he's going wrong. I mean, he's looking at it too scientifically. I mean, sure, in the most technical of senses, you take these 2 past genres of music, you mix them together.
Well, they didn't.
And sure, you can say, well, that's all they did. They just took this and they took that.
They took pieces. Like R&B came because this guy was like, you know what? I noticed that this part of big band is what the people really like. So what we'll do is we'll cut it from 20 guys down to 5, and we'll cut that piece out that people like, and we'll add this thing from over here that people like.
We all agree that they did that. But they added something unique, something new to it to make it what it was.
I think isolating the call and response from big band music is something unique, because no other musical
I don't think it's enough.
No other musical genre was doing it at the time. No one else was isolating that one specific part of big band that people
we can
really
do
like.
this scientifically. In fact, we can take this element of this one musical genre, combine it with an element of a different musical genre, and we can just merge the two together and see if it fits the qualification to be labeled as this other genre music. And I would bet all of my Litecoin that it would not.
Well, you can't say that what is R&B today.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter how far back we go.
And define it by Caledonia,
we can't just take the drums of tribalism and combine it with the rock of Elvis Presley and magically get Led Zeppelin. Something new, something original has to be added to it that wasn't being done prior to that.
I see it.
You don't agree?
I don't agree at all.
I mean,
yeah, it's
fair
like
enough.
there was borrowing, and that's just the way that it is.
But I mean, it's the difference between covering a song in the way that Marilyn Manson does it and remixing a song.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a difference. Louis Jordan.
See, that's all we're saying.
The father of R&B
is that
Louis
these
Jordan.
new genres of music are more the equivalent of covering the song with your own style.
Oh yeah.
Than they are remixing between various songs.
Again, I don't agree that we're not having new music come out, because we've got, you can't say dubstep is not new music, because nobody was doing it that way before. Even if they are remixing
I'm not familiar
old songs.
enough with dubstep to weigh in on that.
Trap music is different. It's the same. It's like R&B. It's parts of this old musical genre that people like a lot, and they just cut that part out and made music out of just that part and made a whole new musical genre.
But they didn't. They added all the I'm not familiar enough with with trap to really elaborate it. But they did add the sound effects, the techno aspects of it that weren't being done before. The heavy synthesized aspects of it.
All right. Well, we'll be back with a Crypto Hour right after this.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, September 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,197 per ounce. Zen is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,441. Antiwar.com reports a day after reiterating his commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has set out a timeline for the process, saying he intends to get the process done by the end of President Trump's first term in office. Kim committed to a denuclearization earlier this year at a summit with South Korea, and a new inter-Korean summit is coming up in mid-September. The next summit is intended to focus on practical measures to advance the process. North Korea is keen to have a peace treaty ending the Korean War as part of this process. The Korean War began in 1950, and the U.S. has been resisting efforts to negotiate a peace treaty, saying the deal needs to wait until after denuclearization. While this has fueled a lot of suspicion, it's also likely a part of Kim's interest in getting the process done before Trump's term ends, as a number of Trump's critics are opposed to diplomacy with North Korea in general and might not be interested in a peace treaty at all, even after North Korea has given up their nuclear program, with a lot of U.S. critics having more or less treated North Korea diplomacy as a dead process, especially after President Trump forbade Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's last visit. Kim seems to clearly hope, between his announcements and the next South Korean summit, to get the momentum back. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms signed an executive order on Thursday that will prevent U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement from holding detainees in the city's jail. The executive order also required that all detainees currently in the Atlanta City Detention Center be transferred out of the facility. Bottoms told reporters Atlanta will no longer be complicit in a policy that intentionally inflicts misery on a vulnerable population without giving any thought to the horrific fallout. As the birthplace of the civil rights movement, we are called to be better than this. It's not yet clear where the detainees will be moved. ICE has 3 other detention facilities in the state of Georgia. The executive order from Bottoms comes after she signed another one in June that prohibits the jail from accepting new ICE detainees. Her actions on immigration were taken after recommendations from a task force assigned to review the city's immigration policies in response to President Donald Trump. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports an intense wildfire roared unchecked for a second day on Thursday through drought-desiccated timber in Northern California's Shasta Trinity National Forest, threatening scores of homes and forcing the closure of an interstate highway after motorists had to flee their vehicles. The Delta Fire erupted on Wednesday in a canyon along the Sacramento River about 250 miles north of San Francisco, and by Thursday morning had scorched more than 15,000 acres, triple the area that had burned some 12 hours earlier. The blaze was near where the deadly car fire incinerated hundreds of dwellings in and around the towns of Redding over the summer. That fire claimed 8 lives and became one of California's most destructive wildfires on record. No casualties have yet been reported from the Delta Fire, but there were some close calls. On Wednesday, the blaze raced across Interstate 5, forcing motorists to flee on foot before flames engulfed their cars and trucks. Flames posed an immediate threat to roughly 150 homes and other buildings in the sparsely populated region, with about 300 people under mandatory evacuation orders. Further north, an evacuation warning was in effect for some 1,600 residents to be ready to flee at a moment's notice. The Delta Fire was one of about 15 blazes burning across California this past week. 3 times as much ground has burned in California so far this year than at the same point in 2017, which ranks as one of the most destructive seasons on record. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
After vetting the 37-year-old for factors such as looks, screen presence, and film credits, Hollywood insiders unanimously agreed this week that area man Dennis Kiernan lacks the sheer star power necessary to carry a major motion picture. Industry experts spoke to reporters today about the Charlottesville, Virginia resident, who they say just doesn't have what it takes to crack into the A-list.
Love him or hate him, I think we can all agree that Dennis Kerning is not a bankable star. He's got to have sex appeal, talent, charisma, and most importantly, that X factor. I should want to sleep with Dennis. I should want to be Dennis. Do I want to be Dennis? No.
Experts agreed the Virginia native and father of one does not have the widespread appeal required to secure a distribution deal with wide release, while also saying they had no reason to believe Kiernan would ever be capable of delivering the type of powerhouse performance that generates buzz at Sundance, Cannes, or Comic-Con.
This is the Onion News Network.
The Call to Freedom is an opinion show. It's meant for informational purposes only. It is not licensed financial advice. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you hear from the Call of Freedom and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. I mean, come on, guys. Duh. It's a cryptocurrency investment and a political talk radio. Of course, it's opinions.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from the Horizon.global studio, and this is the Crypto Hour. Will has had to leave. He had another event that he had to be at. But we actually do have some interesting crypto things to discuss today. First of all, someone is making the argument that proof of stake is just a rebranded version of the old financial system. And being an advocate of, proof of stake, well, not an advocate, but being someone who doesn't hate proof of stake and who rather likes it as a solution to various problems, I think they're probably wrong, but let's get into it. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of projects. Already, man. Both public and private that are attempting to create a next generation blockchain or something better than Satoshi's Bitcoin. A great majority of these projects have condemned proof-of-work cryptocurrencies because they waste resources, and many of these new blockchains have chosen to use a proof-of-stake system. However, proof-of-stake has many flaws and introduces a distribution process that advocates an ugly planned economy that's propagated by ancient thinking and basically the old banking system. On October the 31st, 2008, Satoshi released a paper that described a capitalistic system that essentially solves the notorious Byzantine fault tolerance problem. Okay, that's false. It most certainly does not. And the existence of 51% attacks proves that it does not. And it's true that 51% attacks against Bitcoin are prohibitively expensive right now. This was not always the case, and it probably won't always be the case. Bitcoin's proof of work creates a portrayal of mass computational decision-making by allowing a system that enables an extremely competitive one CPU, one vote model. Okay, so they're going to beat this horse into the ground, so we need to take a moment to explain what the Byzantine fault tolerance problem is. It's basically a thought exercise asking the question, if you're attempting to siege a city, and you have 6 generals, and you don't know who can be trusted and who can't, and you give the order to attack, but if a certain number of them lie and don't attack, then you'll lose the battle. If they attack when they shouldn't attack, you will lose the battle. And that's what the fault tolerance concept is. How many of these generals can be bad actors and have the attack still work? That's the most basic framing of it. And the Bitcoin was supposed to have solved that problem by saying, okay, well, look, we have this way of determining who is a bad actor and who isn't. But that's not at all what Bitcoin does. It simply creates thousands of generals. And then it says, okay, well, we have so many generals now that the odds that we're going to reach a number at which the attack will fail is no longer really likely. but it can still happen. And that's what these 51% attacks prove, is that, we can, in fact, get enough generals out there who are bad actors, even if we have these 30, 40, 50,000 generals. Enough of them absolutely can be bad actors, or enough of them can be influential enough that they influence the other generals to become bad actors to make the attack fail. So it doesn't in any way solve the problem. And this is why I made the meme that I did, asking, okay, Bitcoin, with the guys from Office Space, the Bobs, saying, okay, Bitcoin, 51% attacks prove that Bitcoin does not solve the Byzantine fault tolerance problem. So what would you say you do here? We can see that the system has worked for almost 10 years now since Satoshi announced the protocol. Now, individuals and large organizations are building multi-million-dollar facilities to harvest this innovative and hard money. Proof of stake, on the other hand, brings a distribution protocol that's not only centralized, but there is very little cost associated with annihilating these networks. Well, that was also true of Bitcoin back when it was worth a penny. Tom, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do y'all always ask that when you're in the middle of talking about stuff that I know less about than the two of you?
Oh, fair enough. Fair
Keep
point.
doing good radio and ignore me.
I will try. I hate that they let off with this whole, well, Bitcoin has been working for 10 years now, because, you have proof of stake coins that have been working for 7 years now, 6 years now. I mean, if your whole metric of success is dependent upon those extra 4 years, then 4 years from now, can we write an article saying, well, this proof of stake system has been working for 10 years now, so clearly it works. I mean, it's that kind of asinine thinking that leads to articles like this. Okay, so Bitcoin is 4 years older than the oldest proof of stake coin, which is still going, by the way, and which is still going just fine. Those extra 4 years don't mean that the proof of work system can't collapse tomorrow, nor do they mean that proof of stake cannot reach the 10-year threshold. The only thing it means is that proof of work has existed for a longer amount of time than proof of stake. If you're expecting proof of stake to ever exist as long as proof of work, then you're asking for history to be rewritten so that you can make that argument. Proof of work is older than proof of stake. So by definition, proof of work will always have worked longer than proof of stake. So these Bitcoin people, already they're doing it for 10 years versus 6 years. So when it's 50 years versus 46 years, we're going to be hearing the same thing. Well, this has been working for 50 years, but that's only been working for 46. Except they don't say that, because obviously the margin right there is so small that if they admitted how long proof of stake has been working, it would make everyone who's reading this aware that their argument is completely fallacious and silly. Moving on with the article. Cost and profit is everything in a fault-proof computational protocol. They're going to beat that dead horse too. Because again, 51% attacks prove that proof of work does not solve the Byzantine fault tolerance problem. Because a proof of stake system introduces a consensus system with no resources, there is no opportunity cost associated with the protocol. A serious problem known as nothing at stake. I'll have to think about that for a minute. There is an opportunity cost, in fact. You cannot spend coins that you're staking. They have to have been staked for about 48 hours before you get any sort of reward from staking them. You do have to keep the wallet online 24/7, or it basically resets and you don't get your stakes, which is why most people who are staking are recommended to get uninterrupted power supplies. But so, I mean, and you can't turn off your computer, another opportunity cost. You can't turn it off to conserve bandwidth, another opportunity cost. And all of these things, they may seem minor, and they are. But that's why proof of stake is preferred by ordinary people who can't afford $45,000 mining rigs that will be obsolete in 2.5 months. So, I mean, these things that there is no opportunity cost, that's flagrantly untrue. You can't spend Bing cash that you are sprouting. So if you go to the store and you want to buy something with your Bing cash, you kind of can't. There is absolutely no way to do that and continue to be staking it. Well, we'll get back with this discussion about the advantages of proof of stake versus proof of work, and I promise we will actually get back to the article here on the Call to Freedom, so stay tuned.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants that he or she is tough to reach. So call early in the day, before 8 a.m., before the palace guards arrive. You'll need your prospect's direct number, and here's a sneaky way to get it. Suppose the company's main number is 555-5000. You should call 555-5012. When someone says, "Good morning, Pam Johnson," you should innocently say, "Oops, somebody here must have written this down wrong. I was calling for Tom Frederick. What's his direct number?" If the very next thing you hear isn't Pam giving you Tom's number, it may be, "Good morning, Tom Frederick." For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
Got herself a big brown beaver and shows them off to all her friends. One day you know that beaver tried to leave her, so she caged him up with cyclone fence. Along came Lou with the old baboon, said recognize that smell. Smells like 7 layers. That beaver eats Taco Bell.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, where we are discussing the advantages of proof of stake versus proof of work, and the advantages of proof of work versus proof of stake. So as promised before we went out to break, I am going to stop going off onto tangents regarding what is wrong with the article. No, I'm not. But I am going to get back to the article.
Of course not. You're still auditioning for that editor job.
Well, I mean, that too. I mean, did you hear that first sentence? There's been a lot of projects. I'm sorry, do you mean there have been?
Because he's writing in Southern. A's been. Should have been they's been. THEY''S.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if they were writing a Southern, be like, y'all know there's been so many of them crypto projects. I don't know what happened to that accent right there. I'm from the South, and I don't know what happened to that accent. It was. It slipped into some kind of Jeffrey Beauregard thing there at the end. In contrast to proof of work, oh boy. A proof-of-stake system is a protocol that forges blocks by the amount of stake each participant in the network holds. Man, they could not have chosen more loaded wording. Basically, proponents believe that the consensus model can offer a better form of distribution, and because there are no mining rigs wasting resources, it may be friendlier to the environment. There is no may about it, dude. Proof of work consumes massive amounts of electricity, even for mining a simple little coin like Ravencoin, which I do mine occasionally, and who should sponsor the show, as a matter of fact. It still uses up an unreal amount of power. However, unlike reading Satoshi's white paper, immediately after studying each type of proof-of-stake coin, one can notice, what? Immediately after studying each type of proof-of-stake coin, one can notice these. Okay, that sentence just, it doesn't make any sense at all. I'm going to read it again, but it doesn't make any sense. You've been warned. However, unlike reading Satoshi's white paper, immediately after studying each type of proof-of-stake coin, one can notice these projects are riddled with red flags. And I still had to pause because I'm still trying to parse that. For instance, while some of these networks use a hybrid proof-of-work algorithm prior to adding a staking functionality, a great majority of proof-of-stake currencies are created in private prior to launch, and some don't have a fixed supply. Oh no. You mean there's no one controlling how much of the coin exists? How is this any different than the fiat system and central banking? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I can answer that question. The difference is that they are distributed in typically ICOs, which is getting real wealth. See, fiat currencies are created when the federal government sends treasury bonds to the Federal Reserve Bank. These bonds, of course, have absolutely no value whatsoever. They're not useful. They can't be used for anything except, payments further down the road. But the federal government has a terrible credit rating, and it's going to keep plummeting because it's got a $20 trillion debt. So without getting into all of that, all we really need to know is that these bonds have no actual value attached to them. And they just get fiat currencies, and they make their way into circulation because they're loaned out to other banks, and it's just inflated and inflated and inflated. The difference is that when people participate in these proof-of-stake ICOs, they're purchasing the coins with something of actual value. And it's true that the proof-of-stake creators, when they do these ICOs, they have to guess, about what the tokens should be worth, or what the coins should be worth. Like the AirSwap token, which is a token and not a proof of stake coin, but it's the same basic concept. They really didn't know how much an individual token would be worth to the masses of people. So they just had to kind of set a price that they felt would probably be fair and would probably work for people. This isn't unusual. We have all kinds of examples of this, products being released at way too high of a price, so nobody buying them, so the price is lowered. And if that had happened with AirSwap, they would have lowered the price. Okay, well, instead of 20 tokens for 0.05 Ethereum or whatever it was, I no longer remember the values. They were pretty cheap. We will give you 100 tokens instead of 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever it was, until they do arrive at that intersectional place where supply meets demand at the proper price for the ordinary people. The difference with the Federal Reserve is that it is the standard currency of the realm. So it is what we use to actually make those measurements in the first place. So there is nothing there but guesswork. There's no way for them to correlate it to the market and be like, okay, well, how much do people actually want dollars? And we can do that in the sense of, well, I want $1 badly enough to work for 8 minutes or whatever it would come out to at the minimum wage. But that's a messy system, and even then, I don't know. Answering this question is proving to be more difficult than I expected, and it's not because proof of stake is very similar to the central banking system. In fact, all of these proof of work coins have this same exact problem. Dash, which we rather like here on the show, or we did when it was giving people free money, it was pre-mined. Bitcoin was pre-mined. That's why that's the Satoshi wallet has so much Bitcoin. So they created this currency beforehand, and you're a lunatic if you think that any of these cryptocurrencies actually have a fixed supply. None of them do. Because once we get to that point where I think it's going to have again in 2020 or 2024, once we get to a point where it's no longer really economical for the miners to mine Bitcoin because the block rewards have, been halved to just 2.5 or whatever they're going to be, people are going to stop mining. And because of that, the network transaction fees are going to skyrocket. I don't want to get into all of that. I really don't, because I would have to write about that. It gets into concepts that are too difficult for me to just improvise while talking on the air, especially with Tom just sitting there going, well, she's saying something. So moving
on. I know what you're saying. I just can't say it any better.
Well, you certainly could have said it better than I did just then. But, that's good. We're coming up on a break, and that gives me time to actually collect my thoughts. So I'm going to collect my thoughts, and I'm going to actually write them down. And when we get back, we will get into that.
Aperture Science. We do what we must.
Free Talk Live.
I cannot imagine anyone ever calling a cigarette interdiction hotline.
That'd be great.
What would that conversation be like?
Well, I'm calling because I can't stop smoking.
Sir, do you have a cigarette right now?
Well, yes.
Is it lit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have an ashtray?
Yes.
Okay, you know when you're done with your cigarette and you put it out?
Uh-huh.
Okay, try that right now.
But it's not.
Go ahead and do that same motion.
Can you imagine the conversames?
What the hell could they possibly
Is it 24 hours?
I just don't get
just
it.
Someone called him. I can't do it anymore.
It's dumb.
I smoked the whole pack of cigarettes.
I only get motivated at 3 a.m. Help me out. There's nobody there?
I've smoked all my money away, and now my wife's left me, and she took the dog and the kids. I got no money left. I've smoked it all.
I was breaking into my neighbor's house.
You'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे।
Today, something in here's not right today. Why am I so uptight today? Paranoia is all I got left. I don't know what stressed me first after how the pressure was fed, but I know just what it feels like to have a voice in the back of my head, like a face that I hold inside. Face that awakes when I close.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, where we're broadcasting from the Zencash/Horizon studio because Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized, secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. To learn more, visit horizon.global. That's HORIZEN.global. And contrary to what I said prior to the break, I am not actually going to continue diving into what is essentially a waste of time, which is, trying to figure out why proof of stake is different from central banks when we can ask the exact same question of proof of work. How is it different from the central banks that Bitcoin was pre-mined? And I started to hint at that prior to the break. But they're asking unfair questions, and I fell into the trap of trying to answer it when they can't answer it either. Unlike Satoshi's laissez-faire injected peer-to-peer cash system, the creators of proof of stake have created a controlled and regulated environment, not at all like Bitcoin, that tethers so-called fair distribution into the hands of a chosen few. Not at all like Bitcoin. We know the Bitcoin network incentive encourages miners to be honest. Not at all like... No, that's false. That's flagrantly false. Not exactly, not unlike Bitcoin is what I should have said instead of searching around for cryptocurrency that has been hacked by its own miners. Because we do know that for a fact. We know that miners are generating a bunch of tiny transactions and sending them to themselves in order to create network traffic, which allowed them to increase transaction fees. We know for a fact that they were doing that, and that's dishonest. It says it provides them with a system that makes it hard to assemble more mining nodes than everyone else, and trying to cheat the system is too risky and too expensive. False. It's not risky at all, and it's relatively cheap. It's revenue neutral for them to do because they make that same amount of money back mining. I don't remember. James of Vertcoin explained it much better than I'm able to. I don't mine Bitcoin, so I don't know the ins and outs of all of it. But I do know that we know for a fact that they are generating spam transactions and spamming their own network because it creates traffic, which in turn allows them to increase transaction fees, which causes them to make money from those transaction fees. And it doesn't actually cost them anything to send themselves these tiny transactions. Whereas proof-of-stake networks try to predetermine everything like a central bank and will ultimately fail at long-term consensus because larger stakes will always be more powerful than the lesser stakes. That's not a complete sentence. Of course it isn't. It's news.bitcoin.com. Why would it be a complete sentence? Moving on to the point that he was trying to make, larger stakes will always be more powerful than the lesser stakes. No, because they're not more powerful. Your power on the network isn't determined by, you can't, that's not the way any of this works. Just because you have 10 million Blackcoin to stake doesn't mean you can rewrite the entire network. Any more than you could if you owned, well, I guess it means you could, but you could also do the same if you owned 50 Bitcoin miners. If these larger stakes collude at any time, the malicious activity could take place, making the protocol security soft and vulnerable at all times. Yeah, that's true of Bitcoin miners too. I don't understand. I don't understand this article and why the person wrote it. Do they not understand how any of this works? Bitcoin miners will not undermine the network if there's a chance of destroying their own wealth. Neither will Blackcoin stakers or Bean Cash stakers. No one will undermine the network, any network, whether it's proof of stake or proof of work, if there's a chance of destroying their own wealth. There's nothing new to proof of stake, and these systems represent the crony bureaucratic monetary process that rules the world today. Not unlike Bitcoin, which is controlled by fewer and fewer mining companies each day, there are promises of low energy costs, but at the same time, these proof-of-stake protocols introduce a slew of ways people can cheat and manipulate the network. Sound familiar? It should, because we've seen the same thing with tons of proof-of-work coins, like IOTA. Just like central banks, proof-of-stake networks introduce principal interest to a chosen group that can produce artificial busts and booms within the cryptocurrency's market life cycle. Okay, you can't just assert something like that. You have to actually show how they could introduce these artificial busts and booms. We've seen it with all sorts of cryptocurrencies, regardless of the protocol that gives the network integrity. It's called, pump and dump. That's essentially the bust and boom of a cryptocurrency. And we've seen it with Bitcoin. We've seen it with Ethereum, with Litecoin, with Zencash, with Doge, with Verge. We've seen it all over the place. And just like operations at the Federal Reserve, proof-of-stake coins can use all types of smoke and mirrors to create a so-called honest system. Why am I surprised that this crap is coming from Bitcoin.com, Tom? It's like I went to McDonald's to get information on Burger King, That's what this article is. It's McDonald's explaining to people why Burger King is not nutritious.
Of course, that doesn't make it wrong. Just everything else that you said does.
Yeah, well, it's not wrong. Well, yeah, it is wrong in the sense that these problems cannot be leveled at proof of work because they just kind of exist independently of the protocol. It's an issue with the whole concept of cryptocurrency and the financial system as a whole, whatever form that financial system takes. Just like it's not fair for McDonald's to go, well, your burgers give people diabetes. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, maybe that's true, but so do yours. The Bitcoin mining incentive system works because miners establish a connection with reality, profit, and the ultimate ends. So miners will always play by reality's rules. Yeah, well, that's true of everyone. People who don't play by reality's rules die. I mean, they do. Their companies fail. They starve to death. they go insane from not sleeping. I mean, that's what is meant by reality's rules. And I don't understand what they mean by that.
It sounded really cool when they wrote it.
That's true, it did. So many people to this very day think that the Bitcoin formula is wrong. Unfortunately, the critics just don't understand its relationship with unfettered capitalism. There's a lot of reasons why people believe proof of stake is revolutionary, but the biggest reason is that most people cannot remove themselves. I had a pop-up window come and get in the way. People cannot remove themselves from old financial systems of thought. Thus, the validation of a miner's reality will always determine what miners ought to do. Maintain a robust and honest computational system, unlike anything that's been created so far. And that is Bitcoin.com's take on proof of stake. When we get
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.FM.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As promised before the break, I actually found an interesting, a different cryptocurrency story to cover. Apparently, the European Union is urging for crypto rules. Well, maybe. A Brussels-based think tank has urged the European Union to adopt common crypto regulations. Its report will be reviewed during this week's meeting of the European Union finance ministers in Vienna. Also in the daily, the Eurasian Economic Union may adopt a single settlement currency, possibly a crypto. Samsung Pays offers a tokenized money transfer service in Russia, and TransferGo launches... Okay, so this is just a collection of crap, most of which we're not interested in. Okay. The European Union, a politico-economic behemoth that often finds it hard to agree on common policies on anything, from immigration to taxation, has been called upon to adopt universal regulations for crypto exchanges and clear rules for crowdfunding through initial coin offerings. In a report, the Brussels-based think tank Bruegel argues such an approach would put risks under control while creating conditions to exploit the industry's potential. Worried about some innate peculiarities of the space and the technology, including the volatility of young crypto markets and the associated risks of fraud and money laundering, European Union, EU leaders and institutions have nevertheless refrained so far from discussing and developing a comprehensive pan-European regulation, citing the relatively small size of the sector and the crypto-euro trade. There are indications this attitude could change as the report in question has been prepared for the Union's finance ministers meeting this Friday and Saturday in Vienna, as reported by Reuters. So I hope that they don't. It would be better if they don't. Just leave it alone. You know, I was thinking about that earlier yesterday when I was thinking about pot legalization during the cannabis segment. And what a strange idea it is that we can't just have this thing that the government doesn't regulate. It's like nobody stops to consider that. Could we just not regulate it? Could we just leave it alone? Could we just let people be people and do people things?
But Arya, then what will all the bureaucrats do for a living?
Well, they could get real jobs.
You monster!
But I mean, even ordinary people don't seem to consider the possibility of, hey, we could just, not have the government weigh in on pot? Maybe?
Not have the government weigh in on things? Well, how will we enforce our collective will?
Exactly.
Are you against democracy?
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, me too.
Despite the bearish market trends this year, crypto trading and investing has increased in the EU. So has the interest in ICOs. Member states account for 30% of the projects funded through digital token sales. This will surely press Brussels to take a closer look at the regulatory challenges, like the fact that it's impossible, but that's never stopped them before. They didn't seem to really concern themselves with the fact that they couldn't, regulate pot out of existence, or regulate alcohol out of existence, or regulate gay sex out of existence. They just did it. Consequences be damned. And the consequences are damned. You end up with Al Capone's, the drug war, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people having their lives ruined by the state. For what? I don't know. I tried figuring out what it was really for, but I mean, it's just so that the state can have something to do it, so the bureaucrats can have something to do besides actual work. Bruegel suggests that entities dealing with cryptocurrency and related instruments, such as crypto exchanges, should be subject to stricter disclosure rules. However, the think tank notes that crypto companies seeking favorable business climates in jurisdictions like the European Union member Malta might need to be tolerated for some time. Good God. In order to experiment and learn about the best approaches to this fast-developing technology. Yeah, once you start regulating it and you start telling this fast-developing technology what people can and can't do, it's going to stop developing, because that's what it means to regulate people. Why do you think we're seeing all of this pot research now? And all of these developments in pot medication technology, for lack of a better word? It's because we stopped regulating it to death. So it was allowed to develop. I mean, if you really want to kill the internet, you regulate it. It will cease developing. And it, in many ways has. And it's because Google and other companies like that are essentially bowing to government regulations that actually don't exist. But the Eurasian Economic Union, I've never even heard of that. The Eurasian Economic Union is in a position now to create a common settlement currency for the region. Blah, blah, blah. That's really not important. Okay, for some reason they just go, well, this is probably going to be the ruble, but hey, it could be a crypto. Yeah, I guess it could be. But it's not going to be. You know, it's been going on for weeks. There's just not a whole lot happening in cryptocurrency right now. I think that whole trend of people not talking about it is starting to catch up with the actual industry, and people not really doing much either. They're like, all right, well, we're just going to wait and see what happens. Because there's nothing. Doge is making some interesting moves, but I don't even know the full details about that. And I don't want to accidentally lead people into purchasing a cryptocurrency that is essentially a joke and meant to be a joke. And that is, it's not meant to become an investment. It's meant to be cheap.
And the only thing I've got, we've talked about EOS on the show. I asked my coworker, who specifically follows blockchain technologies, you know, what's the deal with EOS? And he's like, well, they have a good idea. So, okay. Have they actually executed the idea? No, it's a really good idea, though. Well, we kind of know how that goes, so careful buying the hype on that one.
No kidding.
That's my little piece of caution on that for the week.
Well, I mean, that's the case with most cryptocurrencies, is it not? Most of them have, I think we went over that, like 60% of the top 100 cryptocurrencies didn't have an actually working product. They just basically had an idea. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That sounds about right. Unfortunately.
And that's unfortunate, because people are buying it on the basis of ideas that may never come to fruition. And I mean, it's true that any good company will come out with the base product and then go, okay, but we've got all of these ideas that we want to implement over time, but we don't have the money right now to just implement it all right now, so we're going to release it incrementally and in stages. And they have these roadmaps, they're called roadmaps, outlined of how they're going to do it. But then you have companies that don't come out with a working product, and they just go, you know what? send us some Ethereum so that we can work on this thing, and we totally 6 months from now we'll send you some tokens once we have designed the basic core product. It's the same reason that there are so many scams on Kickstarter. You know, you don't have to have anything but an idea to start a Kickstarter campaign and be like, okay, I want to make this game. I've got this really cool idea. And then you don't really have to actually make the game. You've got people's money at that point. The only thing requiring you to make the game is your own sense of morality, which, you know, obviously you should, and you should actually make the cryptocurrency product. But most people won't. Most people don't. And I think that's unfortunate. I think it's a large problem that we have in cryptocurrency. And I mean, just in general as a whole, we need to have higher standards about what we're buying from people. Well, we'll be back here shortly with the Libertarian Drama of the Week, Matt Keenel.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire at the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, September 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,197 per ounce. Zen is trading at $17, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,441. Antiwar.com reports a day after reiterating his commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has set out a timeline for the process, saying he intends to get the process done by the end of President Trump's first term in office. Kim committed to a denuclearization earlier this year at a summit with South Korea, and a new inter-Korean summit is coming up in mid-September. The next summit is intended to focus on practical measures to advance the process. North Korea is keen to have a peace treaty ending the Korean War as part of this process. The Korean War began in 1950, and the U.S. has been resisting efforts to negotiate a peace treaty, saying the deal needs to wait until after denuclearization. While this has fueled a lot of suspicion, it's also likely a part of Kim's interest in getting the process done before Trump's term ends, as a number of Trump's critics are opposed to diplomacy with North Korea in general and might not be interested in a peace treaty at all, even after North Korea has given up their nuclear program, with a lot of U.S. critics having more or less treated North Korea diplomacy as a dead process, especially after President Trump forbade Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's last visit. Kim seems to clearly hope between his announcements and the next South Korean summit to get the momentum back. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. UPI reports Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms signed an executive order on Thursday that will prevent U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement from holding detainees in the city's jail. The executive order also required that all detainees currently in the Atlanta City Detention Center be transferred out of the facility. Bottoms told reporters Atlanta will no longer be complicit in a policy that intentionally inflicts misery on a vulnerable population without giving any thought to the horrific fallout. As the birthplace of the civil rights movement, we are called to be better than this. It's not yet clear where the detainees will be moved. ICE has 3 other detention facilities in the state of Georgia. The executive order from Bottoms comes after she signed another one in June that prohibits the jail from accepting new ICE detainees. Her actions on immigration were taken after recommendations from a task force assigned to review the city's immigration policies in response to President Donald Trump. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports an intense wildfire roared unchecked for a second day on Thursday through drought-desiccated timber in Northern California's Shasta Trinity National Forest, threatening scores of homes and forcing the closure of an interstate highway after motorists had to flee their vehicles. The Delta Fire erupted on Wednesday in a canyon along the Sacramento River about 250 miles north of San Francisco, and by Thursday morning had scorched more than 15,000 acres, triple the area that had burned some 12 hours earlier. The blaze was near where the deadly car fire incinerated hundreds of dwellings in and around the towns of Redding over the summer. That fire claimed 8 lives and became one of California's most destructive wildfires on record. No casualties have yet been reported from the Delta Fire, but there were some close calls. On Wednesday, the blaze raced across Interstate 5, forcing motorists to flee on foot before flames engulfed their cars and trucks. Flames posed an immediate threat to roughly 150 homes and other buildings in the sparsely populated region, with about 300 people under mandatory evacuation orders. Further north, an evacuation warning was in effect for some 1,600 residents to be ready to flee at a moment's notice. The Delta Fire was one of about 15 blazes burning across California this past week. 3 times as much ground has burned in California so far this year than at the same point in 2017, which ranks as one of the most destructive seasons on record. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Readers rejoice! This week, Amazon unveiled the Kindle Flair, the latest model of their popular e-reader. The improved device has the ability to loudly and repeatedly announce the title of the book you're reading so everyone knows how smart you are.
Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut.
The hot new e-reader includes a massive catalog of titles, a sleek, easy-to-use interface, and a loud, clear voice that barks the name and author of your book on a loop. Amazon says the repetitive shouting is a small feature that makes a big difference. Readers say that with crystal clear 150 decibel stereo speakers, the Flair provides the most conspicuous reading experience yet. When you're not reading, the Flair automatically switches into bookshelf mode, which conserves power and reads off a list of everything on your Kindle.
Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, a confederacy of dunces.
And Amazon's competition has also stepped up their game as Apple released a new iPad that whispers, "I have an iPad," over and over again.
This is the Onion News Network.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom live on LRN.FM. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. That was actually not what I was looking for, but it kind of came back while I was still looking for something, so had to go with it. We've actually got something a bit better for you planned here today.
Yay!
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
And of course, the Libertarian Drama of the Week is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, namely Jonathan Dunker. So go check us out at patreon.com/call-to-freedom. And we have more of Matt Kuehnel, basically, who has evidently endorsed Cynthia Nixon for New York. Now, I don't know much.
I think we should have just led with Kuehnel supports Nixon and let that hang for a minute.
Yeah, I missed that opportunity. Well, according to her page, she is a lifelong New Yorker, actor, and progressive advocate running for governor to fight for a better, fairer New York. I'm looking at her policy now. She's traveled across the state to fight for better schools, LGBTQ equality, and women's health care, including the right to choose. Here we go. So what is up with this candidate that Matt Kuehnel, who has been disavowed from both the Libertarian Party Audacious Caucus and the Libertarian Party Socialist Caucus, and there was an attempt to disavow him from just the Libertarian Party. Why has he endorsed, gone through the full thing, even though no one really cares about his opinion aside from its drama factor? Why has he endorsed this woman? Well, to find out, we have to look at what she stands for. I was born in New York City, and I grew up in a one-bedroom, fifth-floor walk-up with my mom. I'm a proud public school graduate, and these days an even prouder public school parent. For the last 17 years, I've traveled across this state to fight for better schools, LGBTQ equality, and women's health care, including the right to choose. This is the state where I started acting at age 12 to put myself through college when my mom told me she couldn't afford it. This is the state where I made my career, raised my kids, and met and married the love of my wife. Love of my life, my wife, Christine. When I grew up here, we didn't have much money, but I still felt like anything was possible. New York, however, has become the single most unequal state in the country. The top 1% of New Yorkers earn 45 times more than the bottom 99% combined. Black and Latino families in New York still earn much less than white families. Women still earn much less than men. This crushing inequality isn't something that just happens. It's not an accident. It was a choice. I want to agree with that so hard, but she's going to take it a completely different direction from what I would. It was a choice to slash taxes for the super rich and impose austerity on everybody else.
Womp womp.
Tom, are you familiar with the austerity measures being taken in other parts of the world?
Other parts of the world, yes. Not here, though. There's no austerity we have found here.
No, there is not. I'm looking now at the measures imposed in Greece's austerity. There was a uniform pay scale for civil servants. Wages were cut by 30%, and wages and bonuses were capped. Labor Reserve offers civil servants who are dismissed 60% of their pay for 1 year, which is presumably down. The tax threshold for income tax would be lowered. Monthly pensions above 1,200 euros were cut by 20%. Retirees under 55 years old, the pension over 1,000 is cut by 40%. Lump sum for retirees is cut by 20% to 30%. Education spending cut by closing or merging schools. Now, closing and merging schools, that may be something that actually happens here in the United States, but the rest of that, yeah, that's totally foreign to us. We can't have austerity here in the United States because the government doesn't actually pay for most of that kind of crap. They do the 401k and you know, I guess it's technically true that we do have austerity in that regard with the increase of the retirement age and the fact that Social Security won't even exist by the time I'm ready to retire. Hopefully, I will die before then, but that's a different subject that I don't really want to get into right now. So I guess in the sense she's correct. Technically, that would qualify as an austerity measure. But you can't have that if you don't have the government being the ones paying for it. This is what always happens. It always happens. It's happening in Venezuela right now, with the government being unable to pay for any of this crap that it promised to pay for. It's just more exaggerated in Venezuela because their government was paying for more crap. Moving on, it was a choice to allow the schools attended by children of color to be underfunded and over-policed. It was a choice to sell our government off to corporate interests and wealthy donors while the rest of us suffer. Well, there's not much there for me to argue with. These are choices usually made by Republicans. I can argue with that. It's choices made by the state. Both Democrats and Republicans do it, and Libertarians if Gary Johnson got elected, or Bill Weld. I mean, it's all the same crap, you know? Pick the color you like and watch it do the exact same crap that you're criticizing. But for the past 8 years, they're all choices that have been made by our governor, Andrew Cuomo. A Democrat, right? Is the governor of New York not a Democrat?
Yeah, I believe Nixon is running against him in the primary, isn't she?
Yeah, it would seem so. 8 years ago, 8 years ago, I voted for Cuomo, whose name I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly, because I believed... Huh?
You're close. You're closer than Will gets to your last name.
So it's Cuomo?
Cuomo, yeah.
Okay. Because I believed he was a real Democrat. But since taking office, Governor Cuomo has showed us his true colors. He let the Republicans gerrymander their own districts to suppress Democratic voters, especially voters of color. Then, when Democrats still won a majority, I smell specious reasoning. He cut a backroom deal that allowed Republicans to take over the state Senate through the Independent Democratic Conference, a group of breakaway Democrats who voted with Republicans to hand them control, and with it, the power to block almost all of our key Democratic legislative priorities. Andrew Cuomo has given massive tax breaks to corporations and the super rich, while starving the state and its cities of the most basic services and decimating our infrastructure. Now let's just go back to the realization for a moment that Matt Kuehnel has endorsed this woman who clearly is against starving the state and who clearly supports the government providing for basic services and infrastructure. His inhumane budgets have been passed on the backs of our children, our working and middle class, and our elderly. We hear all the time about how the big government interests control D.C., but if Washington is a swamp, then Albany is a cesspool. Andrew Cuomo promised to clean up Albany, but instead, he and his cronies have cleaned up for themselves. There's a reason why people close to Cuomo keep winding up under indictment for corruption. New York's 8 years under the Cuomo administration have been an exercise in living with disappointment, dysfunction, and dishonesty, as opposed to the previous 8 years of living in New York. Right? I mean, New York sucks. We could fully fund our public schools, all of our schools. I seem to recall Chavez making that promise. We could end the school-to-prison pipeline and level the playing field for students in every part of the state, regardless of the color of their skin or their zip code. We could fix our crumbling subway system by providing the MTA the money we were promised for repairs. We could take on the real estate developers and landlords. Oh boy, there we go. That's what it's all about. Who are buying off politicians, raising rents, and forcing people out of their homes. You mean to tell me property owners are trying to set their own prices of what people can pay to live in their properties?
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.fm.
Music helps you shift perspective.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.fm. There's actually another aspect of this whole farce that I wanted to bring up before turning it over to Tom, because he says he's got thoughts ready for us, and that is, of course, that Matt Kuehnel has endorsed this Democrat who promises stricter gun control and other fun libertarian things like that over actual libertarian candidate Larry Sharpe, who is also running for the same office and who does not have an endorsement from Kuehnel, although, to be fair, an endorsement from Kuehnel would probably do more harm than good. That said, I would not expect Matt Kuehnel or anyone to simply vote for the Libertarian because the Libertarian was a Libertarian regardless of their disagreements with that person running under the Libertarian name. I would not endorse Larry Sharpe either. I would not, however, endorse his opponent. I would stay out of it, just like I did with the presidential campaign of 2016. I did not endorse Gary Johnson, nor did I endorse Trump or Hillary. In fact, I endorsed someone who wasn't even running. But I did not have nearly the reach that Matt Kuehnel has. There were all of about 3 people paying any attention to me whatsoever then. Now there's 4, which is now twice as many as people who are paying attention to Matt. But Cynthia Nixon evidently is just your average Democrat, promising state solutions to state problems. So what are your thoughts on the whole thing, Tom?
Well, as someone who has run under a party banner before, when you agree to have that letter next to your name on a public ballot, you are taking on certain responsibilities to other people. I'm not talking about to the party, I'm talking about to other people. Now, regardless of what Matt Kuehnel thinks about Larry Sharpe, he's agreed to take on the Libertarian name, use Libertarian political capital, use Libertarian political apparatuses, use the name of the Libertarian Party to advance his own cause. Now, that in and of itself has given many people consternation, but that's neither here nor there. When there's a race that is as far away from your circus and your monkeys as Michigan is from New York, and you go out of your way not only to invade another party's primary, because we're not just talking about opining on the general election, we're talking about opining upon another political party's processes, and you do it in a way that alienates a person who is also running under the same label, using the same fundraising and publicity apparatuses that you're using. That's extraordinarily dirty pool. And the biggest difference here is that Larry Sharpe has an opportunity to make an actual dent in the New York race. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to win. Probably there's going to be a Democrat win that seat no matter what, because it's New York State. But Larry Sharpe is a great communicator. He has experience in the business world. He has good people surrounding him as far as trying to message and to get out there as a campaigner. So he could actually advance the cause of the Libertarian Party with some positive publicity out there. And all you're doing when you're little bitty Matt Kuehnel over in a little bitty Michigan House race that nobody knows you're running in except the people who listen to this segment, frankly, and you screw around with someone else's race, I mean, that's just filthy. It's wrong. It's a violation of a basic social contract you undertake when you put that L next to your name. Now, if you want to be
it's free, worse than that, because I checked, because you made me curious, and he is, in fact, still an officer in the Libertarian Party of Macomb County. And
right.
I don't know about his particular... Yeah, I don't know about his particular county affiliate, but I know that when we wrote the bylaws for ours, we made it essentially against the bylaws for an elected officer to speak ill of someone who was running under our banner. Instead, opting for the if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all policy.
And people will say, well, that's you're getting in the way of free speech and free association. Well, you give up some of your free speech and free association when you decide to take a leadership position in an organization. And that's not exclusive to politics. That's in business. That's in nonprofits. That's in anything.
Yeah, I can't just go to my new employer being like, you know what, screw this place, screw the owners, screw everything. Even if I think that, I can't say it without losing that position, because that's just kind of how things work. I do give up that free speech right to say screw the owner, even though I actually like the owner. I've met the owner. His mother's maiden name was actually DeMezzo, believe it or not. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it shocked the crap out of me. I did not see it coming. But, you know, I willingly, voluntarily gave that up. And I know for someone who is as full of overblown statist is clearly Matt is becoming, the idea of voluntarily doing something is just totally foreign to him. But he still voluntarily gave that up.
And it's like, and it goes beyond even just endorsing Larry Sharpe's opponent. I mean, he's gone so far as to criticize Larry Sharpe specifically for getting along with, Republicans specifically, but for getting along with people that Keenel disagrees with. And this is becoming here it is.
You know, for all of the people who said that libertarian socialism was an oxymoron, what he has done here has proven that, at least for him, there is a conflict between libertarianism and socialism, because those two principles have come into conflict with each other, and he's shown us which one he values more highly. And it's
incredibly dumb. And it's incredibly dumb for someone who claims to be a socialist to put their faith in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has crapped on socialists consistently.
Right.
I mean, they're doing it right now when they've got several Democratic socialists on the ballot with a D under their names. I mean, Joe Crowley, for crying out loud, is still pooping all over Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who beat him fair and square.
Well, he just wants to redistribute. He just wants to make, redistribute the votes. That's all. He just wants to make sure everyone gets a fair share of the votes.
Something along those lines. Except more in line with the New York liberal way of doing things, he wants to make sure that his share of the votes is still bigger. So redistribution does not have to be equal. That's something that the Democrats have certainly taught us over time. And it usually tends to lean toward and favor the Democrats and their favorite constituencies. So Matt Keenel, boo. Bad on you, man.
Gay
you
sex.
owe Larry Sharpe an apology.
We'll be discussing when we get back.
Much better.
This week, the Forest Service rolled out a brand new Smokey the Bear campaign in which the popular mascot burns to death. They say they hope the shocking turn will get people serious about preventing forest fires for once. The new campaign depicts Smokey the Bear noticing a family leave a flame unattended. Before he can put it out, the entire forest is consumed and Smokey dies in agony while trying to fight the blaze. Despite educating the public for over 70 years, the Forest Service says wildfires have only gotten worse and it was time to take their warnings to the next level. The new ads aim to show that if Smokey the Bear can be killed by the very type of fire he works so tirelessly to prevent, it could happen to anyone at any time. So what's next for the long-running campaign? Well, now that their primary spokesperson is out of the picture, the Ad Council says the PSAs will shift focus to a new character named Little Brian. He's the boy whose family caused the fire in the first place, and he's grappling with crippling guilt over Smokey's death.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
You are listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. And I believe we actually lost Tom, which...
No, I'm here.
Okay, well, I looked for you like 12 times during the break. That article won't pull up for me.
Okay, well, I got it.
All right, awesome.
Because it's from The Economist.
Hit our limit.
Places. Yep, I haven't. And I shouldn't have a limit because I have a subscription. I guess I need to log in at some point. But here we go. India unbans gay sex. Judges rule that being gay is a variation, not an aberration of human nature. Now, before we get into this, just to cover my rear end, yesterday I was at my pastor's house. And I was talking to their step-granddaughter about some legal stuff. And on the way out, I mentioned I needed to get home because I had a radio show to do. And my pastor's wife, who is a very genteel woman, started asking me about the show. And the only thing that I told her was that we had Ray Comfort on last week. And that was very impressive to her. So I'm hoping that she didn't find the show before we start talking about this article. But I have Christian points to make. So,
always good.
The prudish wording of India's colonial-era penal code of 1860 has long cast a baleful shadow over gay people. Section 377 banned, quote, carnal intercourse against the order of nature with any man, woman, or animal. This was taken to bar homosexual intercourse along with bestiality and incest. Even heterosexuals could be prosecuted for enjoying oral or anal sex. Now, here's an issue I've always had with these sodomy bans. Is they don't say man shall not lie with man as man lies with woman. They don't say you can't stick it in the who or the he. No. Or they just say you can't stick it in the who or the he. And the thing is, we have a Bible in Christianity. And there's a book in the Bible called Song of Solomon. And in Song of Solomon, there are very, very clear references to oral sex, the use of sex toys, breast play, all sorts of fun stuff that these prudes want to ban because they don't get it at home. Well, It's not my fault you married someone without reading the Bible first. So get up out my bedroom, you bunch of prudes. Anyway.
Yeah, I've always found that to be an odd facet of the sodomy bans that I don't think people really grasped. Is that, you know, straight people do oral and anal too.
Dang right we do.
It's totally not just gay people.
Will and I might not have so many kids if we branched out a little bit more, you know? Anyway, the ban on gay sex was struck down by a Delhi court in 2009. It was then reinstated by the Supreme Court in 2013, which said Parliament should deal with the matter. However, on September 6th, the court reversed itself. A broader bench ruled, to general applause from Indian liberals, that the law does not, after all, criminalize homosexuality. This decision is final. The Chief Justice, Deepak Misra, called the ban on gay sex, quote, irrational, indefensible, and manifestly arbitrary. At issue was the meaning of, quote, the order of nature. One judge, Indu Malhotra, said being gay should be understood as a, quote, variation, not an aberration of human nature. Section 377 was little used in practice, but the ruling lifts the threat of legal persecution, which could be used for extortion. More battles loom over questions about civil unions and gay marriage. Indeed, some plaintiffs are asking whether they should have sued for more this time round. Even so, their victories should pay dividends. Big firms, for instance, have been reluctant to establish benefits for their employees' same-sex partners, citing uncertainty before the law, otherwise known as being ninnies.
Question.
Perhaps
the article here is about gay sex and the legal status of that. How does gay marriage fit into this?
I don't know, because I don't know Indian law.
It just seems like a total shift. And I mean, sure, maybe it's a technicality in India, but banning gay sex is far worse than the states saying gay people can't get married.
Right. You know, it's I don't know, because it depends on how the law addresses it. Is it addressed as a matter of, well, you can't have a man and a man get married because they might have the wrong kind of sex, or is it a separate thing?
Yeah.
Moving on, perhaps the most stirring part of Justice Misra's statement was the assertion that, quote, majoritarian views and popular morality cannot dictate constitutional rights. That will give heart to Muslims, Christians, and other minorities that feel besieged in the climate of illiberal Hindu nationalism promoted by the Bharatiya Janata Party of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Boy, how many words did I butcher there?
I don't know. It sounded pretty cool.
And what of the popular morality? India is still a conservative society. Even after the latest ruling, many gays will still keep to the closet for fear of disapproving families and extra-legal persecution. And now I find it interesting,
the word
though.
Persecution is so not the word to use there.
Well, it's... Why? Why do you say that?
Because persecution generally entails, you know, things far worse than, I don't want to hire you because you're gay.
I don't know. That's pretty bad by itself. I mean, if you're denying people employment just because of that.
I mean, it's bad, sure, but it's not persecution. I mean, we might as well call it gay genocide if we're going to call it persecution. It's only a few steps further from persecution of gay people to genocide of gay people. You know, they're both hyperbolic words that take the point that they're trying to make and they actually cheapen it by exaggerating it to that degree. That was a point I made on Facebook today when a friend of mine, a trans friend of mine, shared this post saying that, you know, here are things that transphobes say. And the first one was something like, what was it? Why can't you just be gay or something like that? And it's just, it gave 4 examples and all of them were along those lines. It was just things that don't in any in any sense that any person who has actually experienced any sort of hatred directed at them would recognize as transphobia. Just like, you know, as a Christian especially, you know, persecution for Christians is an entirely different thing from what may or may not be happening to gay people in India. They're not being rounded up and killed because they're gay. They're not being shunned and banned from the country and forced to live as straight people or be killed. I mean, none of that is happening. So, no, I don't think persecution is the right word.
At the same time, we don't know the other aspects of their legal status over there. I'm not an expert on Indian law, and we're just reading about this one particular decision.
But if people were being killed for being gay in India, we would have heard about it.
Maybe. I mean, by the government.
Oh,
certainly.
People on Facebook would never shut up about it. I don't think. Maybe they would, but I don't think so.
The people who constantly crow about what goes on in Muslim countries, I don't know if they would even be able to tell you what the majority religion is in India. Anyway,
I don't know what the majority religion is in India.
So congratulations, it's Hinduism. Congratulations to LGBT folk living in India. You got one down. You got a few more to go.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे.
Let's focus our discussion first on marijuana, okay? Marijuana has a very distinct smell, okay? I'm going to pass around just a little tiny bit, and I want you all to take a smell so you know when someone is smoking marijuana near you.
That's right. It is time for the cannabis news. And we actually have some news about everyone's favorite 16-year-old attention-starved little girl who does everything and anything that she can to get attention. Of course, I am referring to Elon Musk, who has gone...
Oh, wow, harsh.
Who has gone... I cannot stand this guy. Who has smoked a blunt on the Joe Rogan show last night, apparently shocking his investors in the process. Tom, you brought the story. Do you want to talk about this attention?
Yeah, no matter how much we read about it, you just have to see the photos, folks. All right, from High Times. Tech mogul Elon Musk shared a blunt with Joe Rogan on his show Thursday night, shocking Tesla investors in the process. The high-profile smoke session was live-streamed via YouTube on the Joe Rogan Experience. Musk also reportedly sipped whiskey during the recording of Rogan's podcast, which included conversation about luxury watches, artificial intelligence, and Mars.
Only one of those three things does Musk actually know anything about.
Only one of those 5 things is even problematic. Rogan and Musk had been talking for about 2 hours when the show's host pulled out a blunt to smoke. Wait a minute! So it wasn't even Musk weed!
Well, of course not.
Explaining that it was, quote, marijuana inside of tobacco, according to media reports. Only one of those is a problematically addictive and health-damaging substance, by the way. I think I tried it once, Musk replied. Before taking a hit, Musk clarified with Rogan that he would not be breaking the law. Quote, I mean, it's legal, right? He asked.
Well, he's so concerned about that because so much of his money comes from,
the government.
The government, yeah. He doesn't want to upset his handlers.
And unfortunately, he got bad information because even if it was legal in the state where he was in the United States of America, where unfortunately we do have a federal ban on this stuff still. Musk then proceeded to take one long drag on the blunt, though some viewers were not convinced that he had actually inhaled. Musk told Rogan that he did not use cannabis very much, saying he did not, quote, notice any effect from smoking herb.
Then he did not inhale. Someone who isn't sure whether or not they've even smoked weed will notice an effect if they take a long drag off a blunt.
And someone who does not smoke regularly will cough their heads off if they take a long smoke off of anything containing tobacco.
Yeah, and even people who do smoke a lot will.
How much do you want to bet there wasn't any actual pot in this thing? See, I was under the impression that multi-billionaire Musk here, I read this headline, had brought the Primo stuff onto this show to show off his wealth. Instead, it looks like Joe Rogan just happened to have a blunt hanging around and wanted to see if he could make some news, and lo and behold, he did. Except, I'm not entirely convinced that if the two of them were able to continue doing live radio, that there was any herbaceous herbness going on in there.
Herbaceous herbness, awesome.
I am more inclined to believe that it was just a cigar, and
well, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. But yeah, Rogan can carry on.
That's the second potential Clinton reference we've made here.
That was a Freud reference.
It was both.
But Rogan could carry on the show if he could do it baked, I'm sure.
We've had to do it for Will before.
But Musk, no, someone who smokes weed, you give them a long drag off a blunt, they're gone, dude. That's the end of their brain for the rest of that show.
Or like I said, even like
he would end up laying on the floor eating Cheetos and watching cartoons on YouTube. Well, Joe was like, "Hey man, are you all right down there?" That's how that would go.
That story ended up being a bust. This one's more interesting. Canadian University opening safe space for students who are too stoned.
We covered that one.
Aww.
Yeah. I don't want to end on this other one though because it's kind of depressing.
You talked about the stoner safe space. You sure this isn't a different stoner safe space?
I'm sure. At the University of Calgary.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about it. Someone asked what are Brett Kavanaugh's views on cannabis. That's Trump's latest Supreme Court nominee. Probably not going to be relevant since the ban is congressional, and one thing we do know about his views are that he thinks Congress is the 80-pound gorilla in the room, which constitutionally it is.
Well, I guess we'll go with this one.
All right.
Many states, even those that haven't legalized cannabis for adult use, have recognized the need to address the massive historical and ongoing disparities in drug law enforcement. Over decades, these disparities have contributed to the United States becoming the world's largest jailer, a country not just of mass incarceration, but of the hyper-incarceration of people of color specifically. In Florida, there's evidence to suggest that racially disparate marijuana enforcement is actually getting worse, not better. Apparently, black Floridians are 4 times more likely than white people to face arrest for weed. And there is a neat little graphic here that I would like to look over and summarize for you, but it's a bit too much information thrown in too small of a space for me to quickly analyze it and spit it back out over the radio. An analysis of new arrest and booking data from the Miami-Dade Police Department shows that racial disparities in marijuana arrests are becoming even more disproportional. They said that. The ACLU report shows that from start to finish, from arrest through to sentencing, criminal legal proceedings are extremely biased against non-white defendants and black defendants in particular. Black people comprise 17% of Miami-Dade County's population, yet account for 38% of arrests. Furthermore, arrest rates are higher in neighborhoods with larger black populations. And black people are far more likely to face arrest for drug-related nuisance crimes, including minor cannabis use and possession. The records from 2015 to the present show that these trends continue, but you have to go digging to find out. The department's database doesn't immediately show all demographic data, and shockingly, the police department of Miami-Dade doesn't include Hispanic or Latino as a demographic category. But police indicate race on the arrest form, so taking a random sampling of 50 cases, the Miami New Times reviewed demographic data on arrest forms. They found 40 out of the 50 people police arrested for minor cannabis possession were either black or Hispanic. Apparently, Miami cops can give out citations, but they're still arresting black people. They have a law in the books allowing for people to possess up to 20 grams of marijuana, but since the change went into effect, marijuana arrests in South Florida have gone up. And when police do decide to issue citations rather than arrest, it's overwhelmingly when the person in question is white. Miami-Dade police gave 7,268 marijuana citations to white people out of 10,000 total citations. 2,789 of those 10,000 went to black people. Combined with the data showing racially disproportionate arrest rates, arrests for alleged offenses that fall under the 2015 citation rule, this means that a black person is 4 times more likely than a white person to face arrest for minor marijuana offenses. And that's not a surprise to anyone who listens to the show or to most libertarians in general. It's kind of the reason we want to end the drug wars, because it's disproportionately used to, oppress minorities. That's kind of the main point of the drug war. I mean, everybody does drugs, but it's only the black people and Hispanic people who really get arrested for it. White people can do coke in boardrooms, and no one really seems to care. But that black coke dealer in Compton, oh yeah, he's going to jail. He's going to prison. Just, not the white dude on Wall Street. And, that raises the interesting question of whether this has to do with class or whether it has to do with race. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, because the solution to the problem is still the same either way. Legalize it.
Legalize it.
Well, that does it for the Call to Freedom, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, because Free Talk Live is coming up next.